The story begins with police officer Jackie Velas on the phone with the girl, telling her, "I'm the only cop you can trust." The girl on the other end is terrified. She feels like they know. Jackie says, "I'll get you. I'll protect you. Just don't trust anyone." As soon as Jackie steps out of her car, she's attacked. While trying to escape, Jackie sends a message from her phone and throws it into the water before she is killed. The scene shifts to the police department, focusing on Jackie's second-in-command, Lieutenant Dini. He learns that the FBI wants to dismantle their tactical narcotics team and is now questioning all team members about their relationship with Jackie. The tactical narcotics team was a special squad that raided houses and seized drugs, guns, and mostly cash. An FBI officer asks them if this cash ever created any conflict, meaning, did any officer ever feel tempted to steal the money? Officer J. Dern asks the feds, "When's the last time you guys caught a cop killer in a conference room?" He's questioning whether the FBI really believes someone from TNT killed Jackie. The FBI asks JD about Dini because after Jackie's death, Dini got the promotion that could have gone to JD, but JD has no regrets. He says Dini deserved the promotion as he's been through a lot. Meanwhile, Dini is asking his boss why Jackie's murder investigation isn't being handled properly. He suggests, "Let us run Jackie's murder investigation in off hours." But they can't do that because if the FBI finds out, it'll make things worse. The FBI asks JD about his relationship with Jackie, whether they were together. JD gets angry. One agent says, "I know you have a personal stake in this," revealing that JD and Jackie were in love. Hearing these personal questions, JD attacks the agent, who is actually JD's brother. He meets JD in the bathroom. JD says, "If they're here after all this time looking at us, it means they have no idea about Jackie's murder." Neither of them believes the FBI will find her killer. JD says if he were handling this, he'd actively test suspects, set traps, and get reactions from them, but nobody here is doing basic police work. JD then goes to his fellow officers. One officer, Numa, asks why everyone keeps talking about money when they're narcotics cops. JD says cartel houses get raided and money disappears, but that doesn't mean the police are stealing it. Just then, D sees a message on his phone about a stash house. Outside in the parking lot, a DA tank arrives. DA agent Mateo shows up. JD jokingly suggests maybe he's the one knocking over the stash houses. They start talking about Jackie's murder. The DA can't do anything about this case because it's not their front porch. Mateo says there's snitches in every division. Dini arrives. Mateo jokingly calls him the most corrupt cop and greets him. Dini tells his team, "We had a Crimestoppers tip come in." The officers ask if they'll get overtime. Dini says, "No, he can't do it due to budget constraints." Dini adds, "I'm going regardless, so do what you want." The officers aren't happy without overtime. Numa asks how much money is there. Dini says $250K. When Mike asks the same question, Dini tells him $150K. They all arrive outside the house. Lo brings their money dog near the house. The dog is going crazy. Dini tells Lolo the amount is 75 grand. She says, "That's impossible." The dog is peeing all over the house. They knock on the house gate. A girl named Desi comes out. Dini lies to her, saying, "We got a tip that there's some narcotics on the premises." Desi asks, "Do you have a warrant?" Dini says, "We have a consent to search." Desi asks, "So I can say no?" Dini says, "Yes." He tells her, "Sign the paper and we'll be in and out. We want to go home too." Desi gets talked into signing. As soon as she does, they rush inside. They unleash their dog and follow it. The dog starts barking toward an attic. Dee asks Desi what's in the attic. Desi says, "Don't know. Never been." That's when they explain that the dog alerts for money. Hearing this, Desi says, "I think I'm going to need that warrant now." But now they have probable cause. They don't need a warrant. Dini and JD grab their guns and head into the attic. The attic is completely clean and spotless. Desi insists she doesn't know. She's never been up there. JD notices a wire. When he pulls it, a secret chamber opens. They're going to break through this wall. Dini and JD question Desi. She's been living here for 2 months. It's her grandmother's house. She passed away. The house is in probate. Desi has been fighting her sister for it. They ask Desi to tell them what's behind that wall. They say, "We saw your face when we told you the dog alerts for money. You got a Colombian flag hanging over there and we're cops." So it kind of takes the mystery out of who the money might belong to. Desi responds, "Oh, that's real small-minded of you. All Colombians aren't the same." She says, "All you cops have the same look on your face that makes one feel like they've done something wrong, but I haven't done anything wrong." The officers say hiding stolen property is wrong, especially when it's in your own house. Desi says, "But this isn't my house. It's my grandmother's and it's still in probate." JD says, "You gave us that loophole." Desi responds, "We all love to lecture and moralize, don't we? Like live a more honest life. Leave it in God's hands. But God isn't going to make the mortgage, hospital bills, lawyer fees, funeral costs. So tell me, can you trade all that advice, prayer, and good intentions for cash?" She asks about the tattoo on Diany's hand. Dini explains it means, "Are we the good guys?" Desi asks, "You need validation for that?" On Diany's other hand is WWB, meaning we are and always will be. Just then, buckets filled with cash appear in front of them. There are packages of 150K, 350K, 400K, and more. There are 14 buckets total, at least $20 million. Everyone's breath stops. JD sends Numa and Mike downstairs, telling them, "Give us a sec." Dini asks everyone for their phones. He doesn't want anybody calling now. He says, "I don't trust this rip. Money like this does bad things." He takes everyone's phones except JD's. JD says, "You're offending the team by doing this." But D doesn't care right now. He just needs to handle this situation properly. JD asks, "How much was the tip that came in?" Dini says, 300 grand. Hearing this, JD says, "We are in trouble." Dini goes downstairs and tells Mike and Numa to move the containers to the garage and start counting. But JD says, "You got to move this money." Dini refuses, saying the rules are to count the money at the site of the seizure. If their count is off by even $1, the other authorities won't let them go. Dini just wants to follow all procedures right now. JD says, "Let's call the major." Dini asks, "Do you want to involve him?" JD says, "No, but you're talking about following protocol." Dini says, "No, I'm not risking it." JD warns, "The longer we stick around here, the deceiver things are going to get." He tells Dini, "Jackie told me that she was shipped to a big rip, and I think that's what this is." Dini says, "I don't know." Just then Lo comes in asking, "Can I FaceTime my girls and say goodnight to them real fast?" Dini refuses. JD says, "Let me call my brother." Dini refuses this too. He says clearly, "This is my scene. Let me run it." JD gets angry. "I'm trying to help you, but you're not listening. I don't know what the hell you're doing." Desi says, "You both are making a big mistake. You should just take whatever money you want and walk away." Just then Mike announces, "There's a police car coming up the street." Dini and JD go outside. They tell the officers in the approaching car, "We're on a job. Can you cut your light bar?" The officer says, "We didn't get a heads up about this." Dini says, "Patrolman, do you see the gold shield around my neck?" The officer responds, "I know you both outrank me, but I'll call my chief." Chad says, "I know you." The officer replies, "You don't know me. You never seen me." These officers leave. JD says, "I recognize him. He was a VCT cop." VCT, the Violent Criminal Apprehension Team, was a unit that was shut down because of widespread and rampant criminal corruption, but many cops were reassigned. JD says, "I think we're going to get hit. We need to grab our rifles and vest up quick." While doing this, JD starts remembering Jackie. Meanwhile, the other officers bring the cash containers to the garage. In the garage, they also find an old car. Mike says, "What the hell are we doing? Why haven't we contacted command yet?" Numa says it's Danny's call. "We do this all the time." Mike says, "No, this is not how Jackie would handle this. This is a huge hit." Mike is panicking. He says he'll move this car and put it in front of the door for more cover. JD and Dini arrive, telling everyone, "Put on your vests." Dini explains to Lolo that he only took the phones back as a precaution. JD tells Mike to go outside and keep watch. In one container there's even a gun. Dini says whatever packages are labeled, we leave them. And if it's janky like this with no label, we got to count it. Dini says stealing this much money is easier than counting it. This comment strikes JD as odd. Outside, Mike secretly messages someone about this rip on a hidden phone. Inside, Desi explains that she got a call telling her to leave the house for a few hours. She doesn't know these people and has never seen them. The suggestion to take what they need and leave also came from them. Dini looks into Desi's file and discovers she was a police informer. Her report was hidden to protect her identity. Desi explains that her ex-boyfriend sold drugs and stole money, so she decided to help the cops. JD comes over and says Desi either came for help because the place was dangerous or she came to snitch and make money. Dini then reveals that informers can get up to 20% of seized cash. So they ask Desi if that's what she's really doing. Just then the phone rings. The caller says, "You have 30 minutes to leave the house. Do your job and take the money. No one needs to die for $150K. JD pulls Dini aside to talk. He says, "You told me $300,000. And the guy on the phone mentioned $150K. Why did you lie to me? What's really going on?" Dini says, "Do you think I want to jack this rip?" JD responds, "I don't know what you're doing. You haven't been yourself since we've been here. Tell me what's going on. I want to see the piece of paper. I want to see the tip." JD can't bring himself to trust D even though he wants to. Dini says he doesn't have it. JD says, "Call the major or I will." Dini starts looking at the message that came to his phone. Meanwhile, Numa and Lo count money and talk about how they take home $80K a year after taxes, and for that they get shot at, spit on, punched, kicked. Lolo asks Numa what she'd do with this money. She says just this much money would make her life so much easier to live. Outside, JD calls the agent Mateo and tells him everything, that something doesn't feel right. He explains that Dini still hasn't informed command. Mateo tells JD, "Look, what if Jackie was working that stash house, the one you're on tonight? And what if Dini found out about that? So ask yourself this. Is the size of that rip worth the price of a Miami police captain?" JD says no, Dini didn't kill Jackie. Mateo says Dini is broke, he's in medical debt, his son is gone. JD says I got to talk to my brother. Mateo tells him not to include the FBI and says, "Let me get to you in 10 minutes. Inside, Dini talks to Lolo and Numa while Desi listens from outside. Dini says, "I think we can make something happen here," meaning they should steal this rip. Outside, Mike sees the neighborhood lights flickering on and off. He tells JD about it. JD pays attention to the lights and realizes it's Morse code. The Morse code said pigs. JD goes ahead alone. Mike gets a message from his chief. After that, D calls his major in front of Desi and reports, "We got a rip. Looks like about $150K. Desi is stuck wondering what to do. She trusts Mike and tells him everything, that his lieutenant and the other two are planning to steal the money. Just then Dini comes back. Mike tells Dini about the house with the lights. They both go outside. Desi screams, "Take me to jail. Get me out of here." The phone rings again. The caller says, "People are going to start dying in 10 minutes. Meanwhile, Dini asks Mike what he and the girl were talking about. Mike says nothing. Dini asks straight up, "Mike, are you a snitch?" Mike says, "Are you trying to rattle me?" Dini sends Mike back inside the house saying, "I'll handle JD." As soon as Dini turns his back, Mike says into his phone, "We need to move now." JD reaches that house. He gets a message from Mateo saying, "No Crimestoppers tip was called in." Just then someone puts a gun to his back. On the other side at the stash house, Mike reaches Lo and Numa. They're busy counting money. Dini arrives too. Mike asks where JD is. Dini says, "We got separated." Suddenly the lights go out. Gunfire erupts. In the shootout, Lolo gets hit by a bullet. Dini and Mike escape through the side. Their cars are trashed. Outside they both fire at a man. They chase him. One man jumps across a roof and escapes. They drive away from there. Then a different man appears in front of Mike and Dini. JD says, "Hold on. He's not one of them. He's just on lookout for the cartel. This attack wasn't by the cartel." This man lets Dini talk to their boss, who says the same thing, that their members didn't attack them. They have no interest in the money. They just don't want any more dead police officers because Jackie's murder has already hurt their business. They make it clear they had nothing to do with Jackie's murder either. Everyone goes back inside the stash house. JD asks D, "Did you call the major?" Dini says yes. He told them they were going to finish the count and walk it out themselves. JD says, "Get a retrieval team. Our cars are trashed." JD reveals in front of everyone that there was no Crimestoppers report. Dini made it up to steal this rip. JD and Danny start arguing. Danny says, "You tell me where you were. You disappeared and then showed up with an armed cartel member. Did you fire at us?" JD tells everyone to listen to what the cartel leader said on the call. He said Jackie was killed by someone on her own team, not by the cartel. JD asks, "Did you kill Jackie, Danny?" He calls him a cop killer. The two of them start fighting physically. The other officers pull them apart. Danny tells Numa and Lolo, "Finish the count. We need to get out of here." Danny tells Mike to go sit with Desi. Mike checks and realizes his secret phone isn't with him. JD calls Mateo to come quickly, but Mateo isn't coming with a full team, just with an armored Leno. Mateo asks how much money is there. JD says 20 million. Mateo can't believe it. JD sends another text. Mike, playing good cop, asks Desi if she has an extra phone. Mike's eye catches a candle. Numa and Lo pack all the cash. Dini shows them a number and says, "This is the number right here. Don't say it out loud." But just then a fire breaks out. They rush the cash bags outside. Mateo arrives. He says, "I'm only here to help." Dini tells Numa to stay here with Desi, but JD interrupts, saying, "You're not going anywhere either." The two start fighting again. They both get in the truck and pull out their guns, holding them. JD takes out his phone, saying, "I'm calling the major, letting him know to meet us at the bank." Dini says he already let him know. Mike says, "No, he didn't. He didn't tell him about the total amount." Dini asks, "How would you know that?" He asks again about the snitch question that hasn't been answered. Mike explains that Desi told him about the call with the major, that he only mentioned 150K. She told him that Dini was planning to steal the money with Numa and Lolo. But this is when it's revealed that Desi heard exactly what Dini wanted her to hear. Dini knew Desi would tell Mike because she trusted him as a good cop. And this is when it comes out that Dini had intentionally told everyone different amounts, but the caller said 150K, which is what he told Mike. They know Mike has been using a burner all night. During Dini and JD's fight, JD took it from him. It's Mike who's been trying to steal the rip all night. Dini had been intentionally lying all night. He'd been bullshitting everybody all night, even JD until recently. Dini showed JD the message that came the night Jackie died when they were alone. This message was sent by Jackie as she was dying. Dini took the idea from JD's own suggestion about setting traps and created this whole play. And the only way to get everybody to believe that he would actually steal the money is if JD believed it. The truth is Jackie was actually trying to track down the heist teams. She planned to use this rip as bait to draw them out. But before she could put her plan into action, she was killed. Dini had Mike the second he heard 150K. He just needed to know who he was working with. JD questions Mateo, "Where are the radios? We're taking 20 million across North Miami. Who's monitoring us?" Dini asks, "Where's your regular squad?" Mateo says, "I sent them home because of no approval and 0 overtime." JD asks, "Who's driving up front? Anybody we know?" Dini says, "It was you who called the house and shot it up." Mateo starts saying, "This is nonsense." Dini tells Mike, "Last chance. Make it count." Mike takes his burner phone and redials the last number. Mateo's phone rings. Mateo shoots Mike. A fight breaks out between all of them. JD hits the truck driver. Mateo points his gun at both JD and Dini. He tells his partner outside to change drivers and keep moving forward. Mateo starts saying, "This is more money than any one of us could ever spend. We mob up and disappear in an hour." JD asks, "Did you kill Jackie?" Mateo says, "Mike killed her." Mike says, "You finished her." Both of those attackers were them. But just then JD's phone rings. JD puts it on speaker. It's his brother who has surrounded their truck. JD tells Mateo to put the gun down. But Mateo says, "We can work this out. We can put all the blame on Mike and the rest of the heist team. We can look like heroes." But just then Mike fires at Mateo from behind. He opens fire, grabs a bag and jumps out of the truck. Mateo drives the truck away. JD chases after Mateo. Dini goes after Mike. Mike runs into the woods. A vehicle chase begins between Mateo and JD. JD rams his vehicle into Mateo's truck. Meanwhile, Dini catches up to Mike. They get into a physical fight. JD uses a shotgun to puncture Mateo's truck tire and stop him. Dini gets Mike to give up. JD stands in front of Mateo. Mateo asks, "What amount of money do you want?" JD and Dinny both place bags in front of Mateo and Mike. JD shoots Mateo dead. Dinny handcuffs Mike, and this is when it's revealed the bags only contain books and papers. The real cash was with Lo and Numa. After that, the counting of all the cash begins. Lolo, Numa, and Diani are all asked for a number. Their number was 20,650,480. The number from the counting machines comes out exactly the same, not a single dollar off. With this, Desi will also get her 20% share, which makes her happy. Desi was the girl Jackie was talking to at the beginning of the story. And with that, friends, this story comes to an end. Let us know in the comments how you liked this explanation. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Movo Reels, where every movie tells its story.